Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At least once in your lifetime, you've probably heard an adult say these words to you or another child. You'll understand when you're older. When young people are at the receiving end of this sort of remark, we tend to dismiss this comment and not think about it too deeply. However, that sentence is remarkably true for many situations, especially when it comes to the way our parents raise us and the magnitude of difficulty that comes with being a parent. It is often said that being a parent is one of the hardest tasks an adult can choose to take on. The way a parent chooses to raise his or her child plays an integral part in the child's development and overall outcome. Consequently, a monumental amount of pressure is placed on parents that often goes unrecognized. As a result of this pressure, parents often are left wondering what truly is the best way to raise their children. Parents typically turn to books, magazines, websites, or other sources that give advice about parenting. Unfortunately, these types of resources are countless and often have ideas that conflict with one another. With this problem standing in the way, parents experience confusion concerning how they should be raising their children. How can parents raise their children to be good people while still being mindful of their emotions and well-being? Fortunately, there is one specific style of parenting that has been proven to produce better outcomes of children compared to other parenting styles, while continuing to keep these important factors a priority. There are 4 main categories of parenting styles that parents fall under. These 4 classifications are called authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved parenting. Psychologist Diana Baumrind is credited for developing this categorization system. When Baumrind published her article on parenting styles in 1966, it originally only contained 3 out of the current 4 parenting styles. Her work did not include uninvolved parenting, which was later added by other researchers. Baumrind's parenting style system mainly focuses on parents that reside in the United States and does not include parents that live in other areas of the world. Authoritarian parenting is considered the most controlling and restrictive parenting style out of the main 4. This type of parenting is usually referred to as helicopter parenting. Parents who practice this style place an extremely large emphasis on adhering to authority figures and often place rules on their children's behavior. When children of authoritarian parents disobey the rules placed on them, harsh discipline is usually implemented. In addition, no explanation is typically provided for the punishment they enact on their children. This frequently leaves children upset and confused as to what they did to deserve this treatment. Furthermore, authoritarian parents set high expectations of responsibility and achievement for their children, but do not regularly express affection or warmth for them, even when they meet these expectations. This deprives children of the tenderness they require in order to grow up to be emotionally healthy. Conversely, permissive parenting is regarded as the most easygoing and tolerant parenting style. Permissive parents tend to act more like a friend towards their children as opposed to an authority figure. Because permissive parents enforce little to no rules on their children, discipline is not frequently put into practice in these households. Thus, misconduct from children is simply tolerated from this type of parent, making permissive parenting the polar opposite of authoritarian parenting. Permissive parents focus their attention primarily on their children's freedom and enjoyment. While these intentions are inherently good, making this aspect their main and sometimes only focus results in a neglect of their children's level of responsibility and maturity. Despite the lack of expectations and regulations these parents set on their children, one positive aspect these parents possess is the emotional availability they provide. Permissive parents tend to be nurturing and caring towards their children, which improves their emotional well-being. Uninvolved parents raise their children exactly as the name of their categorization implies. These parents neglect their children, providing them with an incredibly minimal amount of guidance or warmth. Uninvolved parents do not display interest in partaking in events that occur in the lives of their children. This degree of uninvolvement may vary from parent to parent. Some uninvolved parents will continue to provide their children with their basic physical needs, while other uninvolved parents will abandon their children completely and essentially disappear from their lives. Nonetheless, all uninvolved uninvolved parents are categorized by their failure to provide regulations or emotional availability for their children. While authoritarian and permissive parenting contribute one or the other, uninvolved parenting contributes neither. These factors cause uninvolved parenting to be considered the least effective parenting style. Children raised by this type of parent tend to struggle in school and social situations. Authoritative parenting combines the most beneficial aspects of authoritarian and permissive parenting into one parenting style. They set rules and guidelines for their children to follow while still being there for them emotionally. Authoritative parents not only express a genuine want to form a positive relationship with their children, but also acknowledge that their primary role as a parent is to be an authority figure to them. Thus, they create rules for their children that teach them important values to have in order to succeed in life, such as responsibility and maturity. Due to these factors, authoritative parenting is considered the most effective parenting style in the United States. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Disney movie The Incredibles, but you may not be aware that authoritative parenting is displayed in it. I'm going to show you a scene in which Elastigirl talks to her daughter Violet using techniques involved in this type of parenting. Sorry, I know the audio is not working, but that's really the most important part, so I'll just give you a summary. So basically, they are stuck in an island, and her mom is telling her the reality of the situation they're in, but also apologizing that she made a mistake. And Violet is apologizing over and over that she made a mistake as well. So when Violet is apologizing over and over again to her mom talks to her in a caring way, admitting her own wrong and encouraging her daughter. However, Elastigirl also makes sure her daughter knows the reality of the situation they are in by telling her that doubt is not a luxury they can afford. Thus, Violet's mom practices authoritative parenting by being loving and giving her guidance. Authoritative parenting positively impacts students' performance in school. Children raised by authoritative parents usually experience high levels of student achievement. Diana Baumrin discovered this relationship in a study she conducted in which performance levels of children raised by authoritative parents were higher compared to children not raised by authoritative parents. It is the emotional support that authoritative parents provide that makes this achievement possible in their children. The affection and warmth that authoritative parents give their children benefit them in the long run. This support allows their children to develop qualities such as independence and maturity. Authoritative parents commonly practice induction, which is defined as explanations and reasons for their actions towards their children. By doing this, children know the motivations behind their parents' actions, and usually, over time, come to understand and share those same motivations their parents have for them. As I mentioned earlier, Baumrin's parenting style system is only applicable for parents residing in the United States. When attempting to categorize parents in places outside of the United States, different results are usually found that do not align with the normally accepted belief that authoritative parenting is most effective. This is because all regions worldwide are different from one another, and if a different parenting style is thought of as abnormal in a specific region, then that parenting style will typically not be very effective in that specific place. Although parents across the globe cannot all be successfully categorized into one of the main 4 parenting styles, they all tend to have certain qualities commonly found in parents of their ethnicity. This can be attributed to long-standing traditions that all cultures and ethnicities have held onto over time. Asian parents normally are strict towards their children and implement verbal discipline when their rules are broken. European parents are very much like Asian parents, but they tend to have less rules and use less discipline. African parents have a similar level of strictness when compared to Asian parents, but use physical discipline rather than verbal when their children misbehave. Hispanic parents do not frequently impose rules or discipline on their children. As Native American communities typically raise children as a community rather than the child's actual family, they are normally considered a sort of gray area when describing their family dynamics. Of course, there will be exceptions to all these descriptions, and not every parent will fit the description usually found for his or her ethnicity. The American dream gives every American the opportunity to achieve success, making the United States an incredibly busy country. However, work-related struggles such as finances, traffic, or large workload experienced by adults striving to reach this dream can get in the way of their ability to parent effectively. Children can experience a range of negative effects due to the hassles their parents experience, such as negative communication, an increase in discipline, or a decrease in involvement. Unfortunately, no major studies regarding the 4 parenting styles have been conducted yet that focus on the state of California. However, according to kidsdata.org, 2-parent households have a less probability of experiencing financial struggles when compared to single-parent households. Furthermore, hardship surrounding finances often impinges on parents' ability to raise their children effectively. Fortunately, we can see that the majority of Californian parents are comprised of 2-parent households, 76.4% to be exact. A survey was recently conducted in Faith Christian High School asking students which parenting style they believe their parents practice with them and which parenting style they personally show the most preference towards. As shown by these graphs, 61% of students reported that their parents are authoritative. In addition, 82% of students showed preference to authoritative parenting when asked to choose from all 4. God is the intelligent designer of all things, and thus, He created the human family with an important plan in mind. The ultimate role of the family is for parents to raise their children to learn how to carry out God's purposes in their lives. For example, Noah led his family in continuing to follow God during a period of wickedness in mankind, and his family was saved from the flood God brought on the earth because of this. When the Christian church was first established, parents in the church shared a common mission: to save the souls of young children. Many parents baptized their children as babies in the hopes of accomplishing this goal. Secular and Christian parenting are incredibly similar in the sense that both desire their children to develop qualities valued by society, such as being friendly and considerate. However, Christian parents raise their children based on what the Bible says, which is never subject to change. On the other hand, secular parents raise their children based on rules of the world, which are subject to change. Christian parents also place a stronger emphasis on their children's obedience when compared to secular parents. Out of the many various parenting advice resources, the most important one by far is the Bible, which provides significant verses about parenting. Ephesians 6:4 says, "And you, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord." This verse reminds parents that harsh discipline does not allow them to raise their children effectively. Shifting our focus to the other side of the parent-child relationship, children are prompted in Exodus 20:12 to honor their father and mother. Children are called to have respect for their parents by obeying the rules they implement on them. Additionally, this obligation is the first of the 10 commandments to have something promised for those who follow it, which further emphasizes the significance this command holds. I want to direct my potential solutions differently for students and parents. For students, please remember that parenting is infinitely harder than we imagine it to be. If you feel you are struggling in your relationship with your parents, talk to them and explain to them how you feel. It may be incredibly difficult, but it may also be worth it in the long run. For parents, parenting counseling is an option when problems such as difficulty controlling children's behavior and conflicting parenting styles between husband and wife arise. With taking 3 AP courses, figuring out what career I want to go into, and working on this project, senior year has been incredibly stressful for me. I'm sure at least some people in this room can relate to the pressure that falls on your shoulders during this time period in your life. In addition, this year, I thought I saw my future plans fall apart before my eyes. On March 18th at 4:01 p.m., I got waitlisted by the one college I really want to attend, UC Davis. Reading that email from them made me feel more discouraged than I had ever felt before, and I was half tempted to just give up and throw in the towel. Though at first, my parents were just as disappointed as I was, They encouraged me to keep on trying and give my all into the 250-word response the university requires from waitlisted students. On May 6th, at 4:51 p.m., I received an acceptance letter from UC Davis, and my parents were just as overjoyed as I was, if not more. It is because of their incredible support that I was able to accomplish this, and I am forever thankful for all my parents do for me. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Judges, we'll go back to you first.
I was wondering, great job, everyone. I was wondering what in your research, if you came across anything that had to do with the effects of like single parent households or things like that, and what that has on children that are being raised there, but then also the likelihood of, if that had a negative effect, does that, for those kids, when they become parents, is that more likely? Did you find anything like that in the research?
For single-parent households, because they experience more financial struggles typically, they tend to be more stressed out, and that has a negative effect on their children. But aside from that, as long as the parent is authoritative, it usually has a good impact on their children. So it really just depends on the parenting style.
Maxine, again, great job sharing. Agree with you about the Bible being the best resource for parenting. And I just want to know if you came across other resources nationally or otherwise that would be good resources for parents.
Yes. I found a really good book. It's called Positive Discipline, and it promotes authoritative parenting. That was the best resource that I found that I was able to use in my research. And there was another website called ParentingScience.com that also promotes authoritative parenting, which is where I also did most of my research.
That was a good job. And for those that have unloved parenting, say even abusive situations, say if you ran into someone and you knew that family life was unhealthy, unsafe, a friend of yours going through some kind of abuse or something, would you take steps, and what steps would you take?
I did find there was a child abuse organization that I found. It's called Prevent Child Abuse America. And then I also found some parenting counseling offices. One of them I believe is in town. It's called Dr. Ben Seigler. And then one of them was in Lincoln. It's called Lighthouse Counseling and Family Resource Center. So I think that organization and just parenting counseling are just the main next steps to take.
On this, do you think that Faith Christian School adequately prepares students for being homemakers and housekeepers? And if not, what suggestions would you make?
I think we are doing a good job because especially in my freshman and sophomore year is where I learned that verse from Ephesians 6:4, that do not provoke your children to wrath. So I think we are doing a good job at teaching our students how to be good parents.
Did you find any research related to the impact of mental health on parenting style as well? Because I think that there are a lot of parents who want to be authoritative, and yet there are those mental health struggles. And what can we do to address that issue locally and nationally?
Do you mean mental health in parents or mental health?
Yes, in the parents themselves.
So I think parenting counseling is really just the best option because there they would get the most professional opinions and the just most reliable source of help.
I don't remember if you said in your presentation what the main type of parenting is in our culture in America, but what what did you find was out of these styles, and then what would you say is the main problem in parenting in America?
So the most prominent one, I was in the middle of writing my paper. I was trying to look for statistics based on concentration of parenting styles in America, and I was not able to find any studies focusing on that, which is why I think this parenting style system needs more awareness. And the main problem with parents not being able to raise their children, like practicing the authoritative style, is just the stress from work and just the busy lifestyle. It's the main factor preventing them from doing that effectively.
Okay, quick follow-up to that. So if the main thing preventing parents, I guess, consistently raising and parenting their children in our culture is busyness and things like that, what do you propose as the solution? And what do you think that speaks about our culture, is that we're maybe too busy working to raise our children?
Right, parents are very preoccupied with providing their children with their physical needs that they tend to forget about emotional sometimes when they get so stressed out. So I think the most important thing we can do is just, going off of what Luke said, just telling each other and becoming aware of it ourselves, because becoming aware of it is the first step. Each parent will have like a different way that they can address that problem. So just making others aware of the fact that stress can have a negative effect is the number one solution.
Did you find anything in your research that talked about those situations where you had children raised in the same home by the same parents and you had completely different results?
Do you mean like different parenting styles in both parents?
So the same parenting style, this different children. Yeah, one or more go different directions. So it has a different impact with the same family, same parenting style. How do, is there any research about what the other potential factors are?
Generally, do you want like an overview of like the effects of every parenting style, or just like if there are?
No, sorry.
Just if you found any other factors that were in your research, did you come across any other factors that were mentioned that could make a distinction in the results in each individual child?
No, I'm pretty sure that generally they have the same results. There are a few exceptions. I didn't come across any specific ones, but the parenting styles typically produce the same results.
All right, well, we are just about at our time for letting Maxine off the hook here. So let's just give her another round of applause.